Advanced Caveman Date Method. This date technique is advanced, not for beginners or intermediates. In relativistic pickup, what's good for the beginner or intermediate won't usually be good for the advanced, and vice versa. The player will need date hours just like a pilot needs flight hours to get the next certification, so the dreaded multi-hour dates to nowhere that advanced players like me hate and which this method was designed to eliminate are exactly what the beginner needs to become comfortable with dates. In mid-2013, when I started practicing pickup, I loved multi-hour dates, even if they ended. After a lengthy period of sexual underperformance, I was captivated by my newfound capacity to aim at a random female in the street, tell myself I wanted her, and make it happen so we could go on a date and I could learn everything about her. To begin, let me debunk the two most popular advanced date systems. Tothmosis's legendary zero-date bang system, which was hosted in RVF's recently deleted incel game forum. So I don't think you can find it anymore, and good riddance. And Krauser's and the London Crowd's autistic multi-venue dating format, both of which are terrible or boring. On the other hand, Krauser and the London Crowd system takes fucking forever, involves up to 3 venue changes and 3 drinks, at the very least, and involves a painstaking gradual escalation of intimacy that specifies even the lighting and seating arrangements in each venue. Here comes my primitive date system. I guess you could see it as a middle ground between Tothmosis's retarded incel, come to my place and bang now system, and the London Crowd's boring as fuck 6-hour gamma gauntlet autistic system. But I never practiced either of these two systems and evolved it independently. So it has almost no elements from those two systems, and a lot of elements you won't have heard of elsewhere. Several years ago, after the worst date of my life, a 20-year-old blonde Polish singer model, this is her, that lasted hours and went nowhere, it all came together in my thoughts. The kiss never happened, and the girl became dismissive of me as the night went on since I continued postponing or not touching her owing to her hotness. I ended up walking home alone, irritated that I had wasted a whole perfectly fine night being cock-teased and disrespected on top of the dull, idiotic discussion I had to endure. Why hadn't I grabbed her and gone for the kiss 20 minutes in? It would have probably worked because the girl was definitely on a date with me because she thought I was attractive. And even if it had failed, I'd still have had the rest of the night to chat up other girls or go home and watch a movie or something. I would not have wasted my time. I would not have felt disappointed and disrespected. And even if I had failed, I would have had some delight out of the excitement of the accelerated date and the boldness of the escalation. Start at the beginning. First, this isn't a dating handbook. I assume the date is established. Now, my ideal time to set up a date is 9 to 10 p.m., late enough so that I have plenty of time to do approaches before the date, but early enough so that if the date doesn't work out, I can still get home via public transport if I don't have a car, which I sometimes don't, depending on whether I'm gaming at home or while traveling, and still have time to do something fun the rest of the night so that the failed date is not the last. Let me disprove the neo-PUA tactic of scheduling many dates on the same day to avoid flakes and last-minute cancellations. Although PUAs think cancelling on a girl is a huge DHV, I don't do it, especially if I like her. I treat her right and expect the same in return. I can see how it might be useful under certain circumstances for a weak, nerdy guy to project an image of strength, but that's not me because I am not a weak, nerdy guy. So I can't be bothered to use this technique and downright hate to use it. The mental calculations give me a headache. They're the pinnacle of effeminacy, and girls and PUAs do them all day in their thoughts, but not me. So I don't. How do I handle flakes and last-minute cancellations without repeated bookings? I schedule my day around a long pickup session and set the date at the end as a bonus stage in video game terminology. I like my pickup session regardless of whether the bonus stage happens and its results, and I usually end the day with numerous nice conversations with gorgeous girls and fresh prospects in my phone book. I'll have a nice, fascinating and productive evening whether or not I have a cool date and fantastic sex at home. Keep in mind that the first benefit of this method is that I'm always in a great mood for dates. After speaking to dozens of ladies and trying to gain their phone numbers, I'm super socially lubricated, calibrated, and in state, as PUAs say. In addition, if I've had any successful interactions, I'll have cheek-kissed several girls right before my date, getting close to strangers, grabbing them by the shoulder, lower back or head, and kissing them right next to their mouths. Because I'm a pleasant, extroverted Southern European guy, I say hello and cheek kiss her again at the start of the date. I kissed her 4 times before the date. Those are only the warm-up steps in my caveman date strategy. 5 to 10 minutes into the date, the next step occurs. First, I always plan dates as city walks. We'll go for a walk even in a sub-zero mountain environment, only with extra garments on, because fuck sitting in a boring indoor environment and staring at one another while gulping down expensive poison and wondering whether to move. I usually invite girls out for a drink because this is the most socially accepted way to ask for dates. Asking to go for a walk after dark with a tall, big dickhead would scare some girls off. But I steer the date to the walk right from the meetup. I always meet her at a street corner, welcome her with 2 cheek kisses, and start walking with her throughout town in the most intriguing direction. I still remember my long night walks around Barcelona and Paris with 2 of the prettiest girls I've ever known, while Krauser and the PUAs sat in stinking pubs trying to impress bored girls with amused mastery Austrian economics. Do you spot the gamma? Walking easily generates discussion topics because you pass many people, locations, and landmarks to discuss. We reach the 5 to 10 minute mark. 5 if the date is great, 10 otherwise. I remark, "This is a dangerous part of town. Give me your hand so I can protect you if something happens." And grasp her hand without waiting for her to give me it. Have a smile on my face the whole time, because I've spent the last 5 or 10 minutes teasing her about whatever the hell we've been yapping about, so the hand gesture is just another joke. Sometimes I do something more advanced, especially at home in Tenerife with easy beach access. I email a girl, and what will we do? And say, we'll walk along the beach while holding hands after inviting her out. You must be a big, manly guy to utilize this stuff without looking silly. If a weakling says this, especially after a weak initial approach and weak text chat, he sounds sad. But if I say it, it enhances my overwhelming manly impression from the start. With the hand trick, I've made a hoop for the female to jump through. We've broken a huge physical barrier if she's a good sport and accepts my hand grabbing. We're effectively girlfriend and boyfriend. As I mentioned earlier, we've kissed 4 times, so I can basically do whatever I want to the girl. Put my hand around her waist a few minutes later, pull her to a wall, and make out with her whenever I'm feeling turned on. Whenever I'm feeling turned on, say, "I like your hair," and stroke it. Then pull it as a sexual joke and slide her hand down my pants. This is my final move because I'm hung like a porn star and it'd be silly not to tell the girl. The dick move works great for me during heavy makeouts, which are the earliest possible time to introduce the dick without looking like a thirsty loser. Dick pics don't work for most girls, especially the best youngest ones. If she balks, I go home, text all the numbers I farmed earlier, and go to bed a happy man while she kicks herself for missing out on the coolest guy and the coolest sex she'll ever have. I often get called late at night and invited over. Walking away doesn't terminate the game, it just amplifies the interaction and speeds it up to the bedroom. However, what if she refuses the initial hand grab and we never make out? That's confrontation. It was meant to cause a confrontation that would force her to decide so I wouldn't waste my night on a pointless potential. I take rejection differently depending on the female and her type of rejection. If she lightly and jokingly refuses my hand, I'll joke back, perhaps teasing her for not liking boys, being a lesbian, or whatever stupid childish tease comes to mind. I don't plan my lines, and if you're playing at this level and still planning your lines, you shouldn't be playing, and then keep walking and talking for a few more minutes before trying another gambit like hair stroking. In case the second gambit fails, I say, "You know what? I got something to do tonight. It was nice seeing you again. Take care." And leave without explaining why, Take care is better than goodbye or good night because it implies a permanent break, which encourages her to text you later and apologize for her prudishness and coldness. If she harshly rejects my gambits, I don't say, "It was nice seeing you again," but say, "You know what? I don't have time for this, bye," and leave without waiting for her to respond. If you stay to discuss the situation, you're 1. In for a sad time, destroying the fun that was the whole point of the date, and 2. A weakling, which she knows, even if she keeps talking to you and giving you false hope that she still respects you. You'd be surprised how empowered leaving a girl like this is. It's an adrenaline rush almost as exhilarating as the approach, date, and sex with her. Think about it. She got dressed up, cleared her schedule, and intended to spend several hours with this unknown man tonight, but she ends up alone on a street corner 20 minutes later. The vast majority of girls have never experienced anything like this and never will. And for the vast majority of guys, this scenario sounds like science fiction. My decision to walk off a date 20 minutes into it if it's not fun gives me all the power. A girl has never walked off a date with me, and they never will after I adopt this strategy. This entire technique is only possible because Day Game allows me to set a date for every day of the week if I put in enough approaches. If, like the typical AFC, PUA lingo for average frustrated champ, I only had one date prospect per 6 months or year, I would never leave it without exhausting every possibility and avenue of leading it to the bedroom, which leads to 6-hour dates that lead nowhere. For beginners, I repeat, this is a stage that must be passed and even relished as I relished it at first, as I've already related. But there comes a time, as your skill level keeps rising, when multi-hour dates with girls who end up being boring cunts and who don't even have the decency to put out in the end become nauseating, and no self-respecting man will tolerate them. So the question at that point becomes how to develop a more efficient strategy that doesn't throw the baby out with the bathwater, as Tuthmosis's zero-date strategy does. That is of how to still do the date, since no self-respecting hot young girl would skip it, but all the while leveraging the advanced PUA's overwhelming masculinity and social freedom to turbocharge it past all the boring parts and distill it down to the fast and furious mix of pure thrill that either ends with awesome sex or at least with a lollerific street rejection that both you and the girl will remember for the rest of your lives. Trust me on this. Any man in PUA who dares to use my Caveman Date system gets that. If all goes well, I won't explain how I bring her back to my apartment or take her clothing off. I walk them to my home or hotel and up the stairs for a drink, without having any drinks LOL beyond water, milk and orange juice. And most of the time, they don't ask why because they've already had my dick and want the sex as badly as I do, if not more. This isn't a beginner's guide, so you should be comfortable with the basics before doing any of the above. My dates don't always end in 20 minutes. The 20-minute mark is when I force the female to display her true colors, whether she is DTF tonight. I prolong the date by at least an hour before I take her to my apartment if she passes the test by accepting my hand grab, hair stroking, or makeout. I only do the dick move when the makeout is passionate and she gets into it. No structure exists beyond the cutoff point, so I play it by ear depending on my mood, energy, weather, her mood, etc. Even her hotness matters. If she's a 19-year-old inexperienced goddess I want to marry, I'll walk about all night with her, and I still enjoy a lengthy date with her, even without sex. For the normal 20-something sexy female I picked up the day before, she's getting my dick soon, and if she doesn't like it, she can screw off. I've got better things to do than listen to her useless prattle all night. And what about second or third dates? If there is a second date, it means the girl is my girlfriend by then, and I would never wait until a third, let alone a fourth or fifth date for sex in the 21st century. At most, I would settle for a heavy makeout, including dick touching, on a first date if the girl is a virgin or close to it, with sex happening shortly after. Anything less than this is dull and lame, so I stop dating girls that give me less. I leave such girls to PUAs and the public. Thank you.